Hi, it's Kim. Um, I'm not sure. I'm sorry for the delay in coming on. Basically, my phone is showing up as being on headphones, whereas I have no headphones plugged in to my phone. I did spill a cup of tea over my phone this morning, so I'm not sure whether that was it, and I'm hoping that you can hear me. Um, I'm hoping that even if I have the headphones, Stacy, can you hear me? Stacy, I know you've just joined. Can you tell me if you can hear me or not? That would be really helpful. I'm hoping that it's just the case of that I can't hear myself rather than you can't hear me. Hi, Kelsey. Nice to have you on. Oh, that's good. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you. Oh, brilliant. I was just saying that I spilled a cup of tea on my phone this morning, and now it keeps saying that I've got my headphones plugged in. So I wasn't sure whether this was going to turn out okay, but I can sort the phone later. I just wanted to make sure you could hear me, so that's great. Okay, so so Kelsey, you want to join in? That's brilliant. I know you just recently come into the group, and you're from Dundee, Scotland, I think. You said so. It's great to have you in the group. We're really a supportive group. There's a lot of women in there. Stacy is just, and she's quite, open in her feelings and the struggles that she's going, as sort of like lots of other people are in the group. But no matter what we're going through, no matter how hard it is that, people are struggling with, they all rally round and they all support each other. And I'm in there too. And, I recovered from anorexia and bulimia several years ago, and and so we're all there to help each other, because it's a really crap place to be, and I felt absolutely awful about myself, and I certainly, talking about feeling good enough, I never felt good enough about myself. I was always beating myself up, always comparing myself to other people, always thinking that I was, so inferior to everybody else. I was second best. I wasn't special. I didn't kind of like belong. I wasn't worthy. I was fat. I was ugly. So many beliefs that were kind of really, destroying me and making me feel so rubbish about myself, and it consumed every part of my life, not only through the whole, restricting and then binging and purging, etc. But I was just stuck in this kind of, and I've said this before, I felt that I've been stuck in, oh, hi, Lily. I felt that I was stuck in this kind of like deep, dark well that, I just couldn't get out of. And there was not like a chink of light shining through. And I just felt like I didn't know how to get out. I felt that every time I tried to kind of like climb up and sort of scramble out and stuff, I fell and I hurt myself. And it became, and basically it was, that was my way of, I just kind of like restricted, and it seemed safer not to bother trying, because every time I tried to eat that little bit more or, take steps, I ended up binging and purging, and that would make me feel even worse. So it almost became safer not to try. And so, there was a time I remember I felt so alone with this that nobody could possibly help me. I remember phoning, I'd sort of gone, finally worked up the courage to go and see my GP about it. Went and, kind of like notes in hand in case I, kind of couldn't remember what I was going to say, mind to go blank, that sort of thing. And I remember kind of reading through this list, kind of like numb of almost kind of like numb of emotion, but still terrified as well. That's what I've been finding at the moment. It's really hard, isn't it, Lily? I know it's a desperate place, and I think for me it almost like, although it's so scary, isn't it? Sort of that reaching out for help feels, because it kind of like takes away. People are going to start looking at you, kind of monitoring what you're doing, start suggesting, you do this, and that's not really what you want. You want your mind to feel better. You don't want to kind of like feel tortured, as you have been. But, you automatically think, well, they're just going to tell me to eat more, or, they're going to say this and they're going to say that, and it just feels too much. And I don't want people kind of messing with, these kind of like routines and regimes and things like that kind of like, keep me feeling safe, that keep me feeling in control right now. And there's a lot of conflict. You're currently torturing yourself, Stace. Yeah. I did, and I know, and it's really hard, isn't it, to kind of to think that there could ever be a way out. And I remember thinking, well, and I remember hearing, and there's lots of people that say, yeah, but I've kind of recovered, but it's like I'm managing everything, and to me, yeah, that's okay. That's, because I got to that stage and I never even thought I'd get there, to be fair. I think my lowest was when I probably contemplated suicide, if I'm honest, every half an hour. I had to come and think up reasons why I shouldn't do that. And I had two, and I still have. I've got two daughters, and they were a lot younger at the time, obviously. And, but it's not a selfish thing, is it? I know that feeling that you just think that, I felt that they'd be better off without me, and I genuinely didn't feel that it was a selfish thing. I felt that I was a burden, and if I wasn't around, their life would be so much better. And so it almost became that I was doing it for them as well, which when I look back now and I think, my gosh, how incredible was my negativity in my head right then. How, Stacy, I'm feeling, yeah, I know. And I was reading, and apparently anorexia has the highest mortality rate for any other mental health issue. And I can totally understand, and because it's like a double whammy, is it? It's not only the effect, the torture, that the abuse that you're putting on your body physically, but mentally, it is a nightmare. And as I always say, we wouldn't wish it on our worst enemy, but yet we are prepared to live with it. And I remember being in another group the other day, and I always sort of said that it felt like, Anna was a bully, and it was almost like being in an abusive relationship, and somebody else, sort of said that as well. They came up with that statement that, and they called their eating disorder Ed, and they named it after a man who was, like an abusive boyfriend. And it doesn't matter what you kind of call it, and I have clients who name, sort of like their kind of voice in their head. But it's understanding that whoever it is that's in your head, is abusing you, is trying to convince you negative things about yourself, because then you're more likely to listen to them. You're more likely to kind of take note of them. They destroy your self-confidence, your self-esteem, so you don't feel that you're worthy or that you deserve to kind of like get out of this. And then obviously, if you're feeling like that, if you're feeling like you're so alone that nobody else gives a crap about you, and I know, Stacy, you feel like this a lot, but you know, if this voice in your head is telling you that, you become easier to control, you become easier to manipulate, you become easier to be abused by your eating disorder, because you end up feeling so grateful that somebody is, you think they're looking after you. You know, it's like everything be all right as long as if I listen to my eating disorder, my anorexia, my Anna, my Ed, whatever it is whatever you want to call it. You know, I know all that, but you can turn things around. You know, it is in your head, your mindset. It's how your distorted way of looking at yourself. And that's what, you know, as you know, I work now with clients to help them, you know, basically kiss goodbye to Anna. That's my whole business, and that's what my approach. And the whole kiss goodbye to Anna is that it's done in a gentle way. You know, I don't talk about food or weight or kind of like talk about goal weights or excuse me, you know, following meal plans and stuff. Although I can sort of, you know, I help clients, you know, with kind of like support around, you know, eating. If they're sort of struggling to kind of like eat and stuff, I'm often, you know, can be sort of like texting and things and supporting them whilst eating that meal. So yeah, so, you know, as I say, it's not about food, it's not about weight, it's about changing your mindset, how you look at yourself, how you feel about yourself, you know, and that's how I help, because the thing is that that's the root of everything. That's the root of your, you know, negative thinking, that's the root of your negative thoughts. That's why you have your eating disorder. And so if you change how you feel about yourself, then you no longer need to keep hold of all those eating disorder, those anorexic behaviours that are keeping you feeling safe and in control right now. Because if you feel good about yourself, if you feel good enough, if you feel confident about yourself, if you have higher self-esteem, if you have, you know, if you feel more positive about yourself, you know, if you stop beating yourself up all the time, you know, you can then turn your thinking around. You can see yourself differently, and then you no longer, you can say, do you know what, I'm all right, and I'm doing well in this world. I have got my place. I am special. I'm unique. Because let's face it, we're all special and unique because there's only one of us, you know. But I remember having this huge kind of thoughts that in order to be special, in order to kind of like be good enough, I had huge expectations of myself, you know. And it was like I had to, I don't know, you know, sort of like save everybody. And you know, when I was growing up, everything was all about like third world and sort of like the starving children in Ethiopia and stuff. So that's something I always kind of like look back to. And you know, and it's almost like to feel good enough, I had to save every last person in Ethiopia, and I had to provide them with, you know, regular food, etc. You know, and it was ridiculous. You know, and I wouldn't think, you know, expect that of anybody else. You know, I have friends who I wouldn't dream of putting those expectations on, but that's what I thought about myself, you know. And so as I say, it's getting you to change your mindset, how you think about yourself, how you view yourself. And the thing is, what I need to reiterate to you, it's not about you doing anything different. You know, your actions are not about anything different, doing anything different, but it's about, you know, the beliefs that you've kind of formed about yourself based on past memories. You know, they have formed those negative beliefs. They have kind of created these sunglasses, you know, these kind of like negativity sunglasses that you see yourself through every single day, every moment probably. And it's about being able to take those off. It's about dealing with those beliefs, dealing with, you know, those past events and stuff. And that's how I help. But and I'm going to talk to you about the challenge in a minute, but I just did see that there was a comment from Lily. So, okay, Lily, I was in recovery the last year after the worst, really lost everything, unfortunately. I can feel the voices. Oh, I can feel the voice getting, so I can't actually see that because it's quite long. Let me see if I can find that. Oh no, I can't. Okay, I will come back and I will answer that for you anyway. But yeah, it's a really, and the voice, the thing is, it does get strong, and it will get stronger, and the behaviours will get stronger. And you know, it starts off, doesn't it, where we feel that, oh, okay, you know, no, this is fine. And there's such a lot of denial, isn't there, you know, around your eating disorder. And we lie to ourselves. You know, I've talked about this before. We lie to others, but we lie to ourselves, thinking that we can cope with this, it's okay, and that, you know, maybe we can sort it out ourselves. We don't need anybody else to sort of like to help us, and we kind of keep it to ourselves, etc. Because that's what, you know, feels safer. But, you know, as I've just said, you know, anorexia has the highest mortality rate, so it's definitely not a safe place to be. And the sooner you try and address stuff, because thing is, I went into residential as you know, you probably know, and I came out, okay, I was technically a healthier weight, but my mindset, you know, my negative thoughts, etc., were still exactly the same, and I still had the same urge, the same desire to go back to old ways, old patterns. But then luckily, you know, I found a way of helping me get rid of, you know, those beliefs, changing my mindset. And that's when I knew that I have, you know, recovered. That's when I can hold my hand up and I can say that I have truly recovered, because I can say I am good enough. You know, I don't need anybody else to kind of like justify that to me, or to tell me to, you know, because obviously if I don't feel good enough, even if somebody else told me, still wouldn't believe them anyway, you know. So, but because I believe it, you know, I feel that I am special. I am, you know, I do deserve to be here. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be healthy, you know. That's when I know that I have truly recovered. And I know that I can, you know, as much as, you know, life kind of like gets you down and you have kind of, you know, things that go wrong in your life that you wish hadn't happened, you know, I don't need to use food either through restricting or binging or anything like that, to kind of help me along, to help me, you know, kind of cope with that situation. Because, you know, basically that is what it is that you are using your eating disorder in order to cope or control with things in your life that you feel that you can't cope on your own with. And so, as I say, you know, I know that I can cope with things, and that's really freeing, actually. That's such a good feeling to be in. And so for me, that's what recovery is about. It's not about being able to, you know, to kind of like eat, you know, sort of like a chocolate or whatever it is. And I'm sorry if this is triggering you right now, but I'm just trying to get across my point. But it's not about being able to eat a certain thing. It's not about being a certain weight. You know, it's all about up here. You know, it's about, you know, feeling better about yourself. That to me is what recovery is about, and that is the goal that I, the clients that I work with, that is the goal that I look to get them to, because I feel that that's more important than anything, because I know, and I myself have gone from, sort of like anorexia to bulimia, and then I probably had, a part of binge eating disorder in there too. And even sort of like then when I sort of started eating, because I felt that that wasn't kind of helping me, there was a time when, I actually started smoking when I went into residential, because again, I still needed something. And then I sort of probably drank, at one stage in my life, I probably drank more than I should. So again, if you don't get rid of the root cause, that you're not recovered. You might be thinking, oh, well, I can eat such, or I can get to a certain weight and stuff. That's not what it's about. It's about feeling good about yourself. It's about feeling good enough. It's about feeling liking yourself even, and that's not about being, often people think, oh, that's a bit egotistical, and that's a bit sort of, oh, look at me, I'm so wonderful. It's not about that. You like, excuse me, you like your friends, you love your friends, and, and family and things like that. So why shouldn't you like yourself? Why shouldn't you love yourself? It's not being egotistical. It's just about because often we put everybody else ahead of us, don't we? And we all kind of like think other people's feelings are far more important than ours. But that's not true. That's not true. We are equal to absolutely everybody in this world. We are all human, even royalty. I'm sorry, but I am a real strong believer in this. They were born into royalty, and they do great things in their life. And celebrities, and I know we idolise a lot of celebrities and things like that, But at the end of the day, we are all human, and we are all good people, and we are all just doing the best that we can, and I say all, but obviously there are some exceptions to that. But then again, we all have reasons for doing things, even that, that people who do really bad things in this world, there is always a reason for that, and it's usually about their upbringing and their negative beliefs, their root causes and stuff like that. And the thing is, again, it's like they are ill, and so just as again about the recovery, sort of like if you were looking to help somebody that had been done really bad things in their life, again, it's about changing their mindset. It's all the same. The mind is the most, important thing, and through changing it, then you can truly recover, and that's what I've done, and you can too, because as I said, we're all equal, we're all the same, we're all human. I haven't got any special gifts, well, I mean, I help people, but then so do you in your life, so we're all equal in that sort of thing. And so, I don't put myself above anybody, and I don't put anybody but sort of below me, because that's not what I'm about. I'm probably the most, and I'm often commented like this, I'm probably the least judgmental person that my friends know, because I always say that there's the reason why somebody has acted the way that we do, and and often we see things, because of our distorted kind of mindset and etc. We often see things that aren't really there, but we're kind of projecting. If we're beating ourselves up, we expect everybody else to. So can't stop driving myself batshit crazy. Stacy, my love, I'm here for you whenever you're ready. You know that, but you need to be ready, okay? But I am here as soon as you are. You just gotta let me know. Okay, so talking about the challenge. Okay, so as you know, well, I've put about it in the group now. It is Eating Disorder Awareness Week, coming up in a couple of weeks. Next week, no, not next week. Week after. Sorry, the 28th of February to the 3rd of March, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to have a challenge. And I kind of thought about it, and what we could do. And I know from working with a lot of women that I do, the biggest negative belief, or the biggest limiting belief, is the fact that they don't feel good enough, as I've just said. So I thought about creating this challenge around getting you to feel good about yourself. Have that as your goal, and we'll see. I'm not saying that by the end of the week you're going to be sort of like from, despising yourself to kind of feeling absolutely wonderful, although that can happen. But it's just about starting somewhere. I always say it's about baby steps, and this just kind of like, the whole idea is that I'm going to come into the group. I'm going to do Facebook Lives every day, 12 o'clock, and give you information, give you guidance on what you can do in order to start feeling good enough. And also within that, I will be emailing you, so you need to sign up and give me your email address. And so I'm going to be also emailing you after each live session, and then giving you some sort of like practice stuff to do, some questions, some exercises, some techniques, just to kind of like almost put that information into action, into practice, because practice does make perfect. And the thing is, I know I remember so many times reading like self-help books and things like that, and I would read it, and I'll read all the theory and stuff, and I go, oh yeah, that sounds like me, yeah, this is really good, and really resonate with this. And then as soon as it came to the bit where you had to do the work, I'll skip over that and do it later. And I totally get that, as I say, I've done that. But in order to achieve that goal of feeling good enough, you have to do the work, you have to do the exercises, you have to do that action. Otherwise, nothing's going to change, And I know that's a downer, because I'm sure there's, much better things that we'd like to be doing and things like that. But this is real, this could really benefit you. And I guess you just got to work out whether you do want to feel good enough, whether it's worth 3 days out of your time. It's not even 3 days, it's nothing like 3 whole days. It's probably, sort of 3 hours or something like that out of that whole 3 days. So it's basically to kind of like kickstart you off, to get you feeling good about yourself. Because as I said, I know that thing about, not feeling special, not feeling worthy, feeling second best, beating yourself up, comparing yourselves to others. I know all about that, and it's crap. It really is crap. But yeah, so please have a think, and please join me on this challenge. I think, I've really, really hope that, this is kind of like been key stuff that I've learnt during my recovery, and that I work with people on now. So, it could be a real key turning point for you. And I know that might feel scary, but it is. I'll always do baby steps, and I always try and hold your hand through every step of the way, and give you as much support as I possibly can. So, I'm there with you. So you're not alone in this, and we're all in the group, and we can all help each other, and give each other praise and feedback, etc. And you can always reach out in the group if you need if you need that support to, maybe you're not quite sure, or you want to kind of clarify something. You can always ask me, you can ask somebody else. It's absolutely fine. We are very much, we're a great support group, and I love it that, no matter how crappy you're all feeling, you will always be there for others within the group when they reach out, and that's what I love. So yeah, so let's kind of support each other through this challenge, and let's really go for it. Okay, so was there? Yeah, and sort of like, you know, feeling kind of like relaxed and confident. You know, I mean, is that something that you'd like to feel? You know, I know that I certainly didn't feel relaxed, and I was, you know, kind of like a coiled spring a lot of the time, so tense and anxious, and, you know, driving myself crazy as well, like you said, Stacy. So yeah, so and if you don't feel that, you know, if you're sitting thinking, but I don't deserve to feel good enough, you know, why not? Why don't you deserve to? You know, honestly, everybody, you know, would you think that way of somebody else? Do you think that I don't deserve to kind of feel good enough? Would you kind of like, you know, would you think that I was being egotistical, or, you know, would you think I was, you know, being selfish or anything like that? Would you think that that meant that I was kind of placing myself above you in terms of kind of, you know, kind of standards or anything like that? No, it's not like that at all. And you deserve to feel good enough just as much as I do, or anybody else in this whole entire world. You know, we all deserve to be happy, we all deserve to be healthy, and we all deserve to feel good enough. And if you don't feel that you deserve to feel good enough, sign up anyway, because I'm going to change that, and I will help you change that. And so, yeah, so thank you, Stacy and Lily, and yeah, and thank you so much for joining me. And Kelsey, I'm not sure if you're still on, but thank you as well. And yeah, if you have any questions about about the challenge, or you have any questions about, you know, working with me, if that's what you'd like to do, if you kind of are at the place now where you think, oh, I just can't do this anymore, I like the sound of your approach, you know, if you think that might work with you, book a call with me, you know, and we can discuss it further. You know, on my website, www.kissgoodbyetoanna.com, /take the first step, and there is a calendar in there, and you can just book whatever slot suits you, and we can get talking, and, you know, and we can see if we're a good fit to work together. So, but just remember, you do not have to live like this for the rest of your life. You can stop this. You really, really can. I'm not saying it's, you know, easy. I'm not saying, you know, that it's going to be, you know, sort of, it will be, you know, it takes effort. And, you know, as I always say, I work with clients, and I've worked with lots of clients over the years, and the ones that are committed, even if they're scared crapless, you know, the ones that are committed, that do the work, they are the ones that transform their lives, and they do recover. And, you know, and that is so true. And so I want to offer you hope that you can be the same, you know. And they were scared, and they, you know, had concerns that they couldn't do it, and all the things that you're thinking right now, and all the things that I felt right then as well. You know, as I say, and I haven't got any special powers, I haven't, you know, and neither had my clients either. They just did the work, you know, they just decided that this was it. They wanted to change, and they phoned me, and, you know, and that was it. And so, if you'd like to do the same, get in touch. But in the meantime, sign up. Oh, you're special though. Thank you, Stacy. But you know what? You are too. You really, really are. And I know you can't see it right now, but that would be my goal for you, is to get you seeing yourself as special. Because once you see that, you wouldn't need to do all the same things that you're doing right now. You know, you wouldn't need to punish yourself and beat yourself up, etc. And I really want that for you. Really, for all of the people in our group, you know, all the people that are struggling with this. It's blooming horrible. It's awful. It's torture. You know, it really is torture. And that's the word I use all the time. It is torture all the time. And I don't want you to be in that well, if that's, you know, what I was feeling, you know, that well that I was stuck in. I don't want you to be in there. I want to reach out to you and help you out of that. But you need to take that first step. You know, you need to reach out to me too. Let me hold your hand. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. As I said, any questions, you want to book a call with me, want to find out more about the challenge, you want to find out more about working with me, if you know of anybody, you know, that maybe isn't in the group, that isn't aware of me, you know, but you think that, oh, thank you so much, you're very welcome, Lily. You know, if there is, you know, if you know of anybody else that might benefit from the challenge, from that might work, you know, that from the group that might want to work with me, please feel free to sort of like to invite them in and that, because you know, again, I don't want anybody struggling with anorexia or any other eating disorder for that matter. I don't want you to be struggling anymore. Your life doesn't have to be like it is right now, and you can get out just as I did. And even if it's, I mean, the thing is that, you know, even if it's not about working with me, absolutely no problem. You know, I always say that, you know, you have to be comfortable with who you're working with, otherwise it won't work. And so, but find somebody, you know, find somebody that you do feel comfortable with, that makes sense to you, who you can kind of like, you know, talk openly and honestly, who understands you, who doesn't judge you, you know, that kind of person that is right for you. Reach out to them, because they will be, you know, invaluable to you, and they will be able to help you. So thanks very much for joining me, and if you are listening on the replay, thank you for watching as well, and I look forward to seeing you soon. All right, you take care, have a great day, wishing you lots of love and sending lots of hugs to you. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.